What's up, Scoop Podcast? I'm your host, Erica Kruppen, and on today's episode, we have a special guest. We have Hunter with Fresh Start Pet Waste Removal in Texas. What's up, Hunter?
How you doing, Erica?
Hey, thanks for joining me. I really appreciate you rushing home from work to hop on the podcast with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
Yeah, this is cool. Well, I see your stuff on social media. You do an excellent job on social media. So let's just kind of get into it. Give the listeners a little highlight reel about yourself before I start drilling you with questions.
Yeah. So I'll try not to bore you. I used to say, here's like my 30-second spiel, but it ended up being like 4 or 5 minutes. So I'll keep it to like one to 2 minutes or so. I run the inside sales and marketing for a really large pest control company. We're called Alta Pest Control. We're 70,000 plus customers, is the last number I've been told we have. We'll do 45 million in reoccurring revenue this year. My department, though, inside sales, is just like I would say, kind of smaller part of it. Most of our growth is through door to door. So those annoying people knocking on your door selling solar, pest control, alarms, that's us. But I rub shoulders with a lot of good, high level people, a lot of smart people at Alta. And so I've had really good opportunities to work with a cool company, and it's given me the skills to develop marketing, sales skills. So that's kind of like the first part. But I don't own Alta. I'm not an owner, unfortunately. I'd love to be. Love to make the money that those guys are making. But a year ago, I was like, okay, if I ever step away from this company, I don't want to just have to jump to another. So like, why not start my own, And so I had the idea to do poop scooping. I was watching your videos, actually, and Anthony's, and I don't think Will had any videos out at the time, but some other people. And I started Fresh Start. And that was the first job I did was Thanksgiving week a year ago, right? A little over a year. Fresh Start was born, and we're a year in. We have 350 customers, and I have 3 full-time employees. As of last week, you're aware of this. We have 2 wrap trucks now. One truck, unfortunately, got totaled. But prior to that, we had 3 full-time employees. We still have 3 full-time employees. One of them's just using his own Jeep, the one that totaled the truck. But anyways, we won't talk about that. But a lot of success. It's been really, really fun. And my third kind of venture we can dig into if we've got the time for it. But I have a marketing agency where I help home service companies. In the past, it's been mainly pest control, carpet cleaning, pool cleaning. And more recently, I've been working with like 15 to 20 pet waste owners.
Dang, so, you're tearing it up.
That's my skill.
No, that is really good.
2 minutes?
No, you're good. Before we move forward, you got to remove your hands from the desk. No tapping.
Yep, it's going to make some noises. Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. This is just little things. Mr. Producer's like, you have to make mention of this because, as for me with running this show, I want to make sure that the listeners and the viewers have a pleasurable experience because trust me, we were talking about comments earlier, like before we started recording. If they hear pen clicking or anything, I'm getting an email. It's happening. They're like, that was a really good episode, but the pen clicking or the gum chewing or me saying or like was really distracting. I'm like, okay, you guys.
It's just how people is. Like we're observant. I don't know if you're on TikTok, but the comments these days on the you did. Mm-hmm. Probably smart. TikTok comments are hilarious though, because sometimes you think something and then you go to the comments and you're like, these like 12-year-old kids are just
ruthless.
They'll just say anything. Ruthless. Yeah, it's funny. So that's probably why I don't put out a lot of content. I put like pictures, and you can't really make fun of pictures, I guess. But
no, you do a really, really good job. So that's crazy. You said you have 350 customers already?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. Can we go back to the beginning? I mean, you've only been in business for a year, so you're still in this beginning stage. But let's talk about like when you first got started. Can you kind of walk us through what that was like?
Pest control, it's a quarterly reoccurring service. You can offer one-time services. Same thing with poop scooping. You can go out one time, but dogs never stop pooping. And with pest control, bugs never stop, invading, your home, your yard. There's so many different bugs. I'm in Austin, Texas. You're in Michigan, so I was thinking Florida for a
Mosquitoes.
second.
So many
Yeah,
mosquitoes.
mosquitoes, ants, flies. Oh, the flies were terrible this year. It's a reoccurring service, and so it's somewhat easy to sell somebody on, hey, this is why we need to, keep coming out and servicing. And so I saw pet waste as a service that would be somewhat replicable. I think that's the word. And the dogs never stop pooping, and so I was like, sweet, let's do this. The one big change is with pest control, we typically only do a year contract. That's like minimum. The reason why is you're paying so much to acquire these customers, like 250 to 350 bucks to acquire a pest control customer. There's like 30,000 plus pest control companies out there, and so it's very competitive. And I saw with poop scooping, I was like, there's only a few around. They're mainly franchises. I think I can jump in, get a good portion of market share pretty quick. And I don't know. It's something where like sometimes I feel like I'm bragging, but like you're kind of asking like, how'd you get
Brag,
that? And I got
please.
to a hundred customers in like 2.5, 3 months. So I was signing up like one, two, three customers a day. And I was like, I think this is going to turn into something really big. I did, just so nobody thinks I'm like just the guy that sits at home and just like sends everybody out, which I super respect you and all the other owners that are out there still scooping in the business. I said once I get to 20 clients, 20 customers, I'll hire my first part-time employee. And then once we get a full route, then I'll do a full-time employee. And so that's what I did. I can't remember the exact timeline, but I do know I did like 100 clients, customers, first 3 months, got a truck pretty quick, and then just kept scaling from there. Like I just keep kind of copying and pasting. If something doesn't work, I switch it, I tweak it. But I'm just kind of obsessed with getting customers. And once you start seeing those reviews come in, and how happy my employees are with their position, I pay them really well. We can go into that in a bit if you'd like, but um, yeah. So that's how it started. That's how it was born. And I look back now a year, and I'm like, oh shoot, what's this next year look like? And then 2 years from now, what's 5 years look from now? Last thing I'll say with pest control, that's super, super common is you build a pest control company typically to sell, and you can get like 3 times, a 3x multiple for the business for selling. So it's really, really good. And with Poop Scoop, I think the first month or two, I was trying to like seek out other businesses to see if others have sold and if this is something I can eventually sell. And then real quick, I was like, why am I thinking of like selling the business like so early on? I need to build this to like get customers, get brand awareness, and just provide a good service. And so a year in, I have like no plan on selling or like looking at like I don't really care what else everybody's doing right now. I'm in my lane. So anyway, sorry that was long.
Well, no, no, that's perfect. I'm really working on not interrupting people. That's something I'm going to work on for 2025 because you're way more knowledgeable than I am with this. You're amazing. So, okay, let's go back. So you gained all those customers very quickly. You said 100 within the first like 2.5 months. Are you putting ad dollars behind it? Is this organic? What does this look like?
Yeah, I know the fans are hungry to hear some numbers. So I can't give it to you down to the exact dollar, but I can give everybody a range. I didn't do a super, super good job through Jobber, and maybe you could tell me too, but it allows you to mark the lead source or how your clients or accounts heard of you. I hadn't marked them, but Facebook Ad Manager, you can go back to the beginning, see how much you spent, how many leads you got, and so I can give you some numbers. I can give your fans some numbers here. Facebook ads is or was and is about 70% of my customer base. So 350 right now, but obviously we've signed up well over that, right? People fall off, they cancel. I've kind of noticed three that I tell, and maybe you've seen different, but unfortunately, dog passes away, people move, and I lost my job, right? Or I just can't afford this anymore. The fourth and the dreaded one is you guys didn't do a good job. I probably had a few of those, and typically you can kind of point it at the scooper technician. Being in pest control, I tend to call him technician, but scooper, not doing a good job. And, unfortunately it happens. It's like always going to happen. But those three are the main that I've noticed. So obviously signed up more than 350, but currently at that. Facebook ad customer acquisition cost. Have you heard of that term, CAC?
Yeah. Yeah. For the listeners, can you kind of explain that to the listeners?
Yeah. So acquisition cost, or CAC, it's a lot of what I'm held responsible to in my day job, my pest control job. The lower, the better, right? The more you're spending to acquire a customer, the better. The higher, like I said, with pest control, 250 to 350 is kind of normal. Average, if you get under that, you're doing great. With Fresh Start, when I started, if I was under $100, I was like, sweet, that's a win. To where I've tracked back now and I'm like 50 to 60 bucks. So I know if I spend 50, 60 bucks on Facebook, Facebook ads specifically, I'm going to acquire a customer. And obviously everyone's kind of around the same range, right? 20 bucks weekly, 25, 35, whatever, bi-weekly. So within 1, 2, 3 services, already getting back that investment. So I saw that as a huge, huge win. And I guess to finish my customer makeup, I think is what they call it, 70% Facebook ads, 20% Google ads, 10% organic referral. And we've done a little bit of like flyers and our truck wraps. I'm sure you get a lot of those. You're pink.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, you're saying that you're spending $50 a day or $50 a week?
Yes, great. I spend between like 40 to 60 bucks a day on ads,
Mhm.
but I just know personally, if I spend 50 bucks, whether it's over 1 day, 2 days, 10 days, that's typically what it's going to cost to acquire a customer.
Yeah, I'm glad that we're talking about that because I think I've been here, done this. We get tunnel vision where it's like, well, we're only charging $70 a month, or we're only charging $14 for this customer. How can I spend $50 a day? Like, that's insane. But we're
Yeah.
not looking at it long term, that this customer, right? The lifetime value could be $14,000 that we're bringing into our business. So it's every bit worth that $50, that $75.
Yeah, it's I'll give an analogy. I do a lot of analogies, but I've actually never used this one. But I know you're into fitness right now, and you're on like a fitness journey. I go to the gym every day too. I Sundays typically the only day I don't go, and the days I miss, I feel crappy the rest of the day. But anyway, it's those small deposits that you put into working out, or lifting weights or running or whatever. At the time you're like, okay, well, this isn't really going to do much for me, right? But then you look back on the year and you're like, oh my goodness, like this is what it's got me to. The same thing with that. I have an understanding that not the only way, the best way or the quickest way to grow a business is I need to spend on advertising. I need to spend on marketing. A lot of business owners, again, I work with a lot. They go to flyers, or they go to yard signs, or they go to like certain things that they're seeing other business owners using, and they can work great. But what a lot, we'll use flyers, for example. If you do 1,000, like you got to put a lot of time into I know you've done them too. We've all kind of tried it out and maybe got a customer or two or three from it. But the way I see Facebook ads, I can talk about other areas too, but Facebook's kind of my baby. Everybody's scrolling on it, right? And 5 years ago, when did you start? 5 years ago, six, seven,
6 years.
six?
Yeah.
Look at how much it's probably changed since then, right? And how many more companies are starting up and competitors and
Sorry,
all
guys.
that. Yeah, yeah. But 6 years ago, you probably had to do some sort of Facebook or, hey, like, I'm Erica, I'm in your area, here's my pink, brand. Now you've created this brand, you've created, a lot of people talk about, yeah, I have this poop scooper, right? And so Facebook is like the best way to put your brand out there. People are scrolling. I call it stop the scroll. I've seen a lot of business owners put like, poop memes or whatever, right? You want to stop the scroll, catch their attention, and then convert them into a customer. And so I've seen Facebook specifically the best route for acquiring a customer in this industry.
Okay, can we problem solve? Right now, I'm struggling. I You promise you won't hang up on me when I tell you this? Okay,
Yeah.
I've gotten 37 Facebook leads from ads, and I haven't closed one of them. I have a
Really?
massive hole somewhere with between when they come in through Facebook forms and what happens between me and my virtual assistant.
Okay.
There's a
Where's
mess.
your VA? Where are they at?
I have no idea. They're probably in the Philippines somewhere.
Okay.
Kimberly is stateside, but it's all remote work. So yeah, it's coming in, um, and we're just I don't
Yeah.
know. It's not going well. Either we'll follow up, we'll call them. It's a bogus number. We'll text them or we'll email them, and we cannot seem to lock it down.
Yeah. Let me ask you a few questions on it, and I'll
Please.
I'll problem solve and I'll help you and hopefully others out, and we'll all learn together. Um, so, do you use Responsibid, or did I make that up
No, I
or see that?
just started using Responsibid, which we're struggling with it, but we're working through it.
Okay. Were your Facebook leads prior to that, or during it, or both?
Prior, because right now they're coming in, and I don't think that they're hooked up to Responsibid. That's what I don't really understand that, like what the sequence should be to be the most efficient.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, it all comes down to your follow up. We call it speed to lead, right? The quicker you are to get to a lead, the higher your conversion rate is. I was walking a client through that today, actually, and I showed him I have automation set up with a lead management tool. A lot of people have heard of Go High Level.
Yeah,
Have you heard of that? Do you do reviews with Clay still?
yeah, I do.
Yeah. That's what Go High Level is. So I use that for automations. So somebody fills out my form, please, after this. If there's one thing I ask of everyone, don't fill out a bogus form just to see my process. I've had
Guys,
like,
out of respect for the show, for us as scoopers, like please don't do it to me. Please
yeah,
don't do it to Hunter. It is so frustrating to go through it. And I promise you, I will block your IP address. I'm just giving you a warning. You'll be blocked. You won't be able to come through again.
I've had like 3 or 4 this week. And like anybody, you get excited when leads come in, another opportunity to make money and keep your guys busy, keep your girls busy. I feel like I have a pretty good process. So a lot of uh, pet waste owners I've seen use Sweep and Go. The route that I've seen a lot of owners use, though, is they enter your zip code here and then sign up page, right? There's a lot of leads, and this, that want to talk to somebody before coming out, or they want to communicate with someone. They want to live chat. Think of your first um, 10 customers or whatever. Like they wanted to say hi to you before you came out, or they wanted to know who was in their yard. Like we have to remember this is people's property. Dogs are people's lives. People even treat their dogs better than their kids sometimes. Yeah.
Guilty.
um, anyways, if you only give them one route, and this isn't a knock on Sweep and Go, I think I've sent more people to Sweep and Go than anybody. I need to have Augie give me like a, a referral or something, but Will probably has something like that, or he should, because he's getting a lot of business. Anyway, they only give them one route for that, and you go to the sign up page, and you got to think of the amount of people that are like, whoa, $100 a month, $120 a month, $150 a month, and then they bounce, right? And so that's a great route. It's like the good, better, best. If you've heard of that, that's good. Better is throwing up, call now, right? Call me now. You open up another line of communication, form of communication, and you have your, VA. Is she the one that takes your calls too, or do you take all your calls?
Well, that's the thing is they were taking all my calls, but we're trying. I'm like, well, obviously there's an issue. So I need to either do recording, we need to do some sales training, we need to figure out why they're not converting. Yeah. And so I'm going to start taking the calls. Me and John Noonan were working on a script. Him and I were role playing the other day because I'm just going to start calling. I'm gonna get this figured out because I'll be darned if I'm gonna let all these leads just slip through, especially because I'm paying now. Ugh, it's gross.
Oh yeah, real quick. Maybe I could give shout outs at the end too, but shout out to you, your content at the beginning. A year ago, I reached out to Erica guys, and I can't even remember what I said. And then I messaged you through a couple of platforms, and remember you responded through one of the platforms like a couple of weeks ago, and you're like, "So sorry, I don't know how I didn't see this, but we did talk through a different platform." Anyways, John Noonan from day one was like, "Dude, let's hop on a call," and like, it wasn't even so much like, "How do I run this business?" I'm like, "Hey, dude, like I've got some good skills and experience, but like I want what you have. Like, tell me, and we've chatted probably once a month, for the last year. And I know you guys are close too. So,
He's awesome.
um, shout out John Noonan. But that's great. That is what you need to do is kind of evaluate your script. I'll just kind of walk through my process because I get 2 or 3 DMs a day. What's your process then? Because I kind of allude to it, on some text and stuff. But once somebody fills out my get quote form, there's an automation set up where it sends an initial text. Hey, Erica, this is Hunter with Fresh Start Pet Waste Removal. We received your submission. How are you doing today? Right? Or how many dogs do you have? I don't ask that part because they've already filled that out in the form, but you can have it say, whatever you'd like. Right. And then I wish I could share my screen and show because it gets me excited. But and then after that, I do a couple questions to just create conversation. So they see me as Hunter, the guy that lives, a couple neighborhoods over. He's the local business owner, and this isn't like a, corporate, or I was going to say franchise, and I know we've all got our opinions on them and stuff, but and just create a connection. I'll do like a joke every now and then, or if they're kind of short in their answers, I'll get, quicker to the quote. And then I send my jobber quote. I believe Jobber and Sweep and Go show you when they view the quote. And I would say like 40 to 50% of the time, that's kind of high. I'll say 40% of the time, the quote's usually signed within like 5-10 minutes. Right. And
So you're not
then
calling. You're just doing a text.
yeah, and people can say what they want to me on this, but I'm working a 9 to 5. I don't have the time to call people.
Yeah.
I think it's time fraud. If I'm working for a company, I'm not working for my company, which is kind of funny to think about. 99% of my sales, my customers have all been through text. We're all used to being on our phones. Text has a 96-97% open rate.
What's the
Um,
timeline? Are you texting them within 15 minutes, within 10 minutes? How quick are you getting to them?
I'm super quick, super quick. Um, Again, I'm kind of obsessed with it. Like I will text somebody at 11:30 at night because they're on their phone, and I know the next day if I reach out to them, they might not be as don't make fun of me, guys, but it's might not be as hot is what it's called, hot, warm, cold
Yeah.
phase or cold leads. They might not be as hot. They might not be thinking about the poop scoop. And for some reason, they saw my ad or they're thinking about it. Get them while they're hot, convert it, and then the next day they can move on with their day, and now they have a poop scooper. So that's my process. And if somebody doesn't respond, my conversion's like 60-70%. So I will respond like 5-10 minutes later after they viewed the job or quote, and I just follow up with a simple line. Am I doing good on the tapping? I feel like I'm
Oh,
using my
yeah. No,
hands.
you're doing good.
Okay. I just say, does it look great? It's so short and simple. All I'm trying to do is get an objection out of somebody or the reason why they haven't signed it yet. If they tell me, yeah, it looks good, I just need to talk to my spouse. Okay, there's talk to spouse. Yeah, it looks good. I need to check around with another company or two, right? I could list off like 4 or 5 main objections, but once they give me that, then I go into, I got to do everything to get this client because they responded, they're interested in this. Over all this time, I've never had anybody that's like, stop talking to me, you're rude, or like, get a life, or they can respond, stop or unsubscribe or block me. But because of that relationship I created with them prior to the quote or the conversation, they see me now as a person and not just like a website or, again, a CSR and like a big building and whatever. You kind of get what I'm saying. So yeah, that's kind of my process. And SMS is key to signing up for people. And the same with a lot of people who are scooping throughout the day. Like, you've got a full route. You don't have the time to take a call and talk for 10, 15, 20 minutes, but you can respond to somebody in between jobs and, close jobs while you're scooping. So, yeah.
No, I think that's incredibly important. And you're looking, like you said, you're looking for like an objection. I don't know if you've ever read Never Split the Difference, but
Yeah.
yeah, so it says you want the customer to say no because now they feel like they're in control, right? And so then you can start with the overcoming objections and start to work through that. Hot take, hot question. What's your thought on offering a free initial service to get a customer to sign on for a recurring service?
Yeah. So you ready for this?
Hit it.
I've never done even one free initial service. And I'll tell you why. And I know it's really big right now. I know everyone's doing it. It's the popular thing and everyone's doing it. But I've never done it because typically free is going to attract, and take this with a grain of salt, it's not everybody, but typically free attracts a little bit lower income of a customer or somebody that's not tied to anything, right? They could get a free service out of you and whatever, change their mind the next week or stop service or just whatever. There's no skin in the game. So I do 2 things. One, if somebody actually hasn't picked up their poop in the last month, I do a little bit longer range. I don't know what everybody else does, but if it's over a month, I'll actually add on a $20 fee on the initial. So some people start 40, 50, 60 bucks on their initial service. So I do that. I've done occasionally like a better offer, like, hey, if you sign today, I've got 2 spots tomorrow. If you fill one of those, I'll do $5 off or $10 off to add an offer. And then the other thing I do is a card is required on file prior to us coming out to service. So they're putting skin in the game, and I would say that's probably why our retention is pretty good, and I don't have a lot of cancellations because I'm requiring them to give, again, I don't want to say skin again, but like them taking a step forward as we take a step forward and meeting, halfway, if you want to use that analogy. And it's worked really, really well. But I know free can work as well, and it's a good call to action. They call it a good CTA. But just know you might be getting a little bit different of a customer than you ready for another acronym? Your ICP, your ideal customer profile, right? Think of your top 10 best customers, right? You want every single customer to be like them. And so those top 10, how can I gain another 100, 200 of those customers, of those Kathy, Joe, George, who are like always responding after your services. You guys are amazing. Like, I'd love to show you my phone. Like somebody today, you guys are, anyway, everyone gets good reviews, but that's what you want to go for. You don't want to go for the people who aren't paying. They're looking for free. Typically the ones always complaining are the ones that aren't paying. Have you noticed that?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. See, I have this one customer. She's literally my ideal. She's in a high end area. She
Yeah.
has a well maintained backyard. There's no gate. Um, she doesn't respond. Like she never responds back. I can move her service date whenever.
Yeah.
I sent her a price increase letter the past 2 years. Never heard anything. Her card always goes through. Never any issues. I'm like, if I could get 200 more of her, it'd be great. And it's a one dog yard, super easy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So I guess, yeah, kind of challenge for everybody who's just now starting. Don't be so obsessed or goal hungry, or like, I just got to get 100 customers, right? And 20 of them are just not good, and they're not your ICP, right? You'd rather have 80 customers who are awesome than 100 customers and 20 of them are just like always issues and they're bringing you down. And that's just my personal opinion. I mean, maybe you want 100 because it's more money, but that's what I would challenge everyone to do.
So who is your ideal avatar or your ICP? Can like
Yeah.
what who is that?
Yeah, and I've heard this recently because I don't think anybody really knows until probably a year or two in. You could probably figure it out lower, less than that. But you, for example, you're 6 years in, like you could probably sniff a bad customer, off of like the first text or call, or they don't pay their first month, and you're like, oh goodness, not a good way to start off. I've actually noticed it's not the high end. Like I don't get a lot of millionaire. I want to say not millionaire, but mansion homes. I don't know what people's net worth are. Uh, and then if I see a house, and we do the same thing with pest control. I train my team. They actually pull up the Zillow and the Realtor.com. And nothing against it. No matter what your living situation is or anything. But with trailer parks, there's typically a lot of roaches in them because they go from like trailer to trailer, or rats. Yeah, there's just easier access to get inside. Anyway, the same thing with pet waste, right? Um, I want to find clients, or I need to answer your question. I'll get distracted. My ICP is the busier, typically like middle class, busy family with husbands working, wife's working. They don't have the time to do it, and when they have free time, they want to hang out with their dogs, their kids, their pets. Go to Six Flags, whatever. They don't want to spend their weekends. Honestly, I'm kind of that, right? I would probably want to search for me and my wife, right? And yeah, and I didn't mention this, but I actually started the business, or like the idea came to mind year, whatever, 12, 13, 14 months ago. My wife was pregnant. We have a 1-year old, and she was bending over in the yard one day when I came home from work. And I was like, oh, why is she doing that? Like, I should be doing that. And then I'm like, but wait, I hate spending my weekends do this. And then I'm like, wait, maybe there's a service for this. And then I did my research and all that. So anyways, that's what I would say is like middle class, typically the best. And then, add certain, I don't know if stipulations is the word, but like requirements before signing people up to, make sure that you're not doing free services and getting screwed over in the end.
Yeah. Do you require a deposit through Jobber?
I don't. I don't. And people can call my BS on this, but I could screen share and show you my jobber. I've had really good luck. Do you know how you can mark as like bad debt in jobber?
Oh, yeah. I have a couple people that are bad debt.
Yeah. So, well, you said a couple, so maybe mine's worse, but I've had 3 customers who just like stopped responding. They didn't pay. I do post pay. I know everyone's big fans of prepay, and I think you should do prepay. I just didn't start out that way, and this is how I've done it. This is how I'm going to do it. But three customers that just didn't ever respond, didn't pay, and 15, $20 to me for, we did 200,000 in revenue our first year. Like that's literally just pennies. And actually a good example, this is good and bad of me. You're friends with Adam too. I saw Adam did a video one time and he shared an example on like being, what was the word? Like compassionate of like without knowing people's circumstances, essentially. And I was responding to somebody, and I'm kind of like I hound people in a nice way, like, hey, your service is paused for us to be able to service tomorrow. Like pay the bill from last week, pay the invoice from last week. Your card continues to decline, yada yada. It like makes me sad thinking about. But somebody's wife hopped on and were like, unfortunately, I can't remember his name right now. This is like a month ago, but unfortunately, he passed away. And I was like, I am so sorry. I feel horrible that I've been, texting. But again, I wasn't like pay your bill, really, really rude. But hey, if you want to continue, pay. And because of our good service, and I think because I handled it well, I said, no problem. I'll actually just delete these invoices. No need, God bless you. And she was like, no, I still want to continue service. Just switch it over to my name. And I was like, that's awesome. Like those are the really good examples when I was texting somebody who had passed away. Like that's pretty super sad. And I had no clue, but kept a customer because we, provided good service. So
Yeah, because we have to remember that even though we don't really see a lot of our customers, like we're dealing with people and people have deaths, they have stress, they have all the human emotions that we go through, busy, forgetful, card gets hacked. Like everything's declining right now for my business because my bank account got hacked. Somebody did a bunch of Uber charges and I had to cancel my card. So like my card literally just came in the mail the day before yesterday. It took the full time that they said it was going to take to be delivered. So I'm like going through my email. I'm trying to pay everybody. I'm sending emails like I promise you. I'm like I will pay you. Can we set it up through the bank account? And it's so weird that a lot of the companies you can't set it up right through the bank account. It has to be a card. But like if I'm happy that Responsibid reached out to me and they're like, "Hey, what's going on?" If they would have just canceled me, like that would have sucked. They allowed me to explain what was going on and they gave me a grace period.
yeah, yeah. Real quick question for you, just because I've seen it on a few websites. Is ResponsiBid like a plugin into your website, or what is it? What is it? What's different about it?
Yeah, so it replaced the Jobber quote form. So basically, it's a plugin. It goes onto my website or wherever I want to put it, and the customer goes there. They answer the questions that I've given them, and then it gives them an automatic estimate of what their service could be. They choose what they want, and then that kicks it over into, I think it's a pending status. And then that's when we're like, okay, great. They want to move forward. So it's really nice because they get to see what the price is. But like what you were talking about before, like seeing that larger dollar amount, it might scare them and then they bounce. So that's why I do think it's important to send a text message or call just to kind of work through the price and confirm like, oh, you said you have a medium-sized yard, you actually have a small yard, so your rate is much cheaper.
Yeah, and the one thing I'll mention too, that I see just nonstop in the group that we're admins in, and Scoop Club, all these groups, is everyone hops in and they're like, help me quote, help me price this, help me this, and the responses are just always the same. It's what's your time worth, right? That's what it comes down to. But I think everyone kind of has a little bit of a fear on what if I price wrong, then like I have to change it. And honestly, yeah, it's better to just start where you think, start where your competitors are, or a little below or a little bit higher. You'll maybe laugh at this, but Scoop Soldiers, franchise here. My goal when I started is I was like, I want to be $1 or $2 cheaper than them, just so any customer that's like comparing us to, or hey, I'm leaving Scoop. Not only is this company local and they have better reviews, or they're going to give me a better service, but they're a couple of dollars cheaper, which adds up over the year. And so that's kind of what I would say. But I guess I'll say to wrap that part up is just figure something out, and as time goes, if you need to change, you need to change, and it's not the end of the world if you have to adjust prices for new leads, new quotes, and then also for your current customer base. Like, people understand. I think I don't know if you know this number, but again, the fans love the numbers. When you've adjusted your prices, Erica, what's your churn rate or your cancellation rate? Is it like 5, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7%, or do you know those numbers?
If William's watching, of course I know those numbers, William. But if he's not watching, I don't know the percentage, but I will say I did a price increase December 1st, and I lost no more than 7 customers. And
Awesome.
it wasn't that bad. And
Yeah.
so I'll let you continue, but I want to add something if you don't cover what I want to say.
No, that was mainly it. I haven't done one because I'm only a year in. Justin Owen, I've chatted with him, runs an amazing company in Dallas. And I don't want to send people to him if he doesn't want to get traffic. But he did it in a super, super great way. And if you got the time for it, he actually sent, or he had his like office manager call out to the clients. And Justin, sorry if I said this part wrong, but that was the main thing. But if the client had like an issue with it or something, I think they let them like stay at their price. If they were like, oh, like if you raise the price on me, so, and it's a good way to kind of check in on the customer and, see how they're doing and all that. Maybe there's an issue or something, but anyway, he runs an amazing company. I know a lot of others have done price increases with pest control. We do it quite often. Products are getting more expensive, gas more expensive, inflation, especially this year.
So I do a yearly increase. I needed to do a massive correction because my rates were just far too low for wanting to have an office and the rebrand and getting the company cars wrapped and all of that. So, having said that, I've done mine in December 1st. It's not the best time. So next year we're gonna bump that up to like October. So the price increase will go in effect. Nothing crazy. It's usually maybe $3-4 a month,
Yep.
but it really adds up when you have hundreds of customers. You're bringing thousands of extra dollars into your business. Now,
Yep.
there are some people that get a much higher jump, and that's because we've incredibly priced them low, or they're a pain and we want them to leave.
Yeah.
And if they don't, they stay paying the price, then they're worth it at that point. They're worth the
Yeah.
extra time, they're worth the extra phone call, the extra stress, whatever. Now, if we get the customers that are good customers and they're like, listen, like this is just too expensive, I can't afford this, whatever the issue is, we will offer them a 6-month promotional period
Right.
at a discounted rate at like 50% or whatever it is. My
Yeah.
thing is I've never actually went back to like follow up on that, so they just keep the discounted price. It's whatever, it's
Whatever.
fine. And
Yeah.
you get some pushback, but I do tell my VAs because we send it out in the email, and it's very much so like we lead with love. I can pull the script up. I can put it in the comments or something if you guys want to see it. We lead with love. We let them know that we appreciate them. We let them know there is going to be a price increase. We let them know why, and then also what to expect. So they feel informed, educated, and appreciated through the
Yep.
whole process. And then when there's the pushback, we're hopping on the phone call or on the phone because I'm like, this needs a phone call. This is not going to go well over text message or email.
Yeah, because some customers might have got a price increase from 2, 3 other companies in the same month, and they're just kind of getting upset about it. Look, or hopefully you're their only home service they use, or maybe the only price increase for that month or year or whatever. And a lot of people understand like those prices go up, but mine's potentially coming up. After being a year, I'm contemplating it. Part of me is like, I've definitely crunched the numbers and seen, yeah, this is definitely worth it. But it's just that kind of, fear of doing it for my, first business. But I've considered even doing it in batches where like the first 50 customers are January 1st. The next, 50 that I signed up are February 1st, and take it in batches so we don't get an overload of emails or calls or any of that. But I think you're doing it right. I was going to suggest, definitely not December 1st. I would say I think October is good. Or I was going to say January 1st after the holidays. The goal isn't for it to just like get hidden in somebody's inbox too, right? You definitely want them to still see it. But if you're sending it, let's say now, for example, what's today, the 19th, like people are spending money on groceries for their parties and gifts and all that. Like that's not a good strategic. So if you do it, and I'm not an expert on this, but strategically plan it, I would say.
Yeah, so I roll it out. We start sending the emails out in October. So it's like a month and a half in advance. So we send an email out, everybody gets that. Then we send up a follow-up email just reminding them. And then a week or two before December, we sent a follow-up, I think text message or email. And that's when people started responding back and they started having the questions. So definitely don't surprise somebody a week before or 2 weeks before. They need to know at minimum a month before so they can figure it out price wise, they can budget or they have time to find another company.